Welcome back to the Morgan Show.
I'm Sierra Burnett.
And I'm Raigan Lydon. And today we'll be giving you guys an update on everything sports related here at Morgan State University.
We have a lot to talk about today, coming with softball, track and field, men and women's basketball, and even bowling.
Let's talk about men's basketball. Sierra, I heard you have a profile on Malik Miller, right?
And I heard that you have a story on Gabrielle Johnson.
I do. Lots of exciting stories for you guys. So let's go ahead and dive into it. As the season continues, the Morgan State women's basketball team remained #1 in the MEAC Conference. After defeating the South Carolina State Bulldogs this past Monday, they played a great game on the road with the final score being 69-48. We have leading scorers in from Charlene Shepard, assists from Janiyah Henson, and leading in rebounds Taylor Addison. They face off against Norfolk State this Saturday.
Morgan State's softball team is off to a 2-1 start. Here's Mikayla with more.
Morgan State's softball team has a roster loaded with pitching talent. Earlier this week, junior Emily Rabuch was named MEAC Softball Pitcher of the Week, with her dominating performance over Elon, where she pitched 5.2 scoreless and hitless innings. She finished with an ERA 0.0 in 2 games during the Elon Softball Classic. The Bears have opened the season 1-1 with a 5-1 victory over Elon and a loss to Winthrop. Prior to the opening of the season, the Bears were selected to finish second in the MEAC. Junior Anaya Hunt was named MEAC Softball Preseason Pitcher of the Year. She's expected to lead the Bears after a standout season a year ago. She finished 15-3 and collected MEAC Pitcher of the Year honors. She led the Bears to win 31 records. Morgan coach Larry Heinlein said Hunt has progressed since last season.
Well, she's definitely a dedicated player, works hard. We worked on some things in the fall to improve her game, and she was pitcher of the year last year. But she has an open mind as far as, wanting to get better and being coachable. So that's one of her qualities. And she's got a lot of qualities. She's also, an even-tempered young lady. She understands the game. She's just a pleasure to coach. And so all that leads to success.
Hunt says she has a plan to keep the Bears steady.
Just basing it off of last year, just continuing to do what I do at practice and in the bullpen, just doing the best I can at practice, doing whatever I can to support my team when I'm in the circle.
Her arm is stronger this season. She's bench pressing 105 and moving batters down with her array of pitches. She's been clocked at 65 miles per hour. What is her favorite?
My favorite pitch to throw would definitely be the rise ball, but my best pitch is my screwball.
With further news in track and field, the women and men's track team had a final tune-up this past weekend in Lynchburg, Virginia, in preparation for the MEAC Championship Conference coming February 19th through the 21st. The women have several competitors ranked top 3 in the MEAC Conference going into the championship meet. Tia Jones and Tareen Lambert are ranked #1 in the long jump and the shot put. Anara Shell and Ashina Eisner on the women's side and John Purvis on the men's side are all ranked #2 in the MEAC Conference in the long jump, pole vault, and shot put. Finally, Anara Shell and Danielle Johnson are both ranked #3 in the MEAC Conference in the triple jump and shot put. The Bears are headed to Virginia Beach, Virginia for the 2023 MEAC Indoor Championship and are expected to be a force among competitors.
This is Camal, Arline with The Morgan Show. I'm here on the track field where the team is getting ready for the MEAC Championship this coming weekend.
Morgan State track team gets ready to travel to Virginia Beach for the Indoor MEAC Championship, which takes place February 19th through the 21st. Last year at the Indoor Championship, the men's track team came in 3rd place with a score of 90 points. John Purves took the silver medal in the men's shot put last year as a sophomore.
You come into this year's tournament being a silver medalist champion. What have you been working on this offseason to bring home the gold?
Just doing the little things, working all summer long. Just been trying to perfect all the basic things. You got to start from the ground up, so the foundation is the most important thing for me. So that's what we've been working on all season.
We can definitely expect to see big things from him this coming week. Last year, the women also came in 3rd place with a score of 88 points. Rachel Field came in 4th place in the 5,000-meter race. She has been working hard during the off-season to place in the top 3.
Last year, you came in 4th place in your 5,000-meter race.
What steps have you been taking to bring home the gold this year?
So this year I've been working on maintaining my strength while getting foot speed so that I can run both strong and fast. And I've had really good company, Alicia, Jessica, Jalissa, and Abigail, my teammates, to help push me there. So definitely say working on my speed to have strength and endurance.
Rachel came into her last year as one of the best long-distance runners in the MEAC. What will you miss most from competing for the Bears?
Definitely the camaraderie of the team. Like I said, just a phenomenal group of distance girls this year. It's been so fun to work with them. They're such a blessing in my life, getting to come to practice every day, their unique personalities. I just absolutely love it, and we'll definitely miss their companionship.
Thank you. Good luck. You got this.
Thank you. Go Bears.
And what are your favorite things to do with the team as you guys are traveling?
We definitely like to sightsee. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I'll be up and I'll be like, oh, did you see that just now? And if they didn't see it, I'll get mad enough. But we like to sightsee and see things that we didn't see before. That's one of my favorite things to do, traveling with the team.
There you have it. The track team will be sightseeing on the road to the MEAC Championship, hoping for victory.
Morgan's bowling team recently hosted a tournament in Towson. Our colleague Marion has more details on the event.
Morgan State women's bowling team kept it moving this past weekend during the 8th annual James Brown Invitational, a tournament hosted at AMF Towson Lanes. The team finished in 3rd place overall. On Sunday, the Bears defeated number 18th ranked Mount St. Mary's for the 2nd time during the weekend, 4-2 in the best 4 of 7 match to earn the 3rd place finish. While Monique Barrios earned all tournament 2nd team honors for traditional play on Saturday and Sunday. Cheyenne Washington also earned all tournament 2nd team honors. Washington welcomed the moment in the limelight.
I feel honored because most of the time I don't get the recognition, and it shows that my hard work is being put in and other people notice it.
Freshman bowler Jonna Hill also earned Rookie of the Week for the 4th time this season. Hill averaged 197.5 pins during the Invitational and finished 12th in the individual standings.
I feel amazing to be the MEAC Rookie of the Week every time I am Rookie of the Week because to me it really brings in and commemorates those special moments I have during those tournaments, and it just gives me more motivation and fire to keep fighting harder on the lanes.
While Hill kept fighting, her teammates were showcasing the skills a successful bowler must have at the collegiate level. Bowling is one of those sports many people watch without knowing the rules. They offered a few tips to help this reporter understand just what's happening in between the lanes.
Number one, you need a strong mind. Your number one always is going to be your mental game. How strong are you? How can you bring yourself back up after a bad day or a bad shot, bad game?
Your mental game has to be there, but you also have to know how to think on the fly. Because on what we bowl on, there's an oil pattern that dictates how your ball is going to move, if it's going to move. And every time somebody throws a shot, that pattern changes. So you have to figure out how to get around whatever that person is doing, and you got to figure it out quick. You really need to have attention to detail. You also need to be able to sit, think, and really analyze things deeply in order to figure out what your next move is.
Head coach Falbo also talks about how the team stays motivated during their games.
This group is self-motivated. These are some very dedicated players. Seriously, the talent that's on this team, the type of bowler that's on this team, they've been doing this for years and years. Their dream is this level and beyond.
This weekend, the Bears will travel to North Carolina for the MEAC No. 2 regular season matches hosted by North Carolina A&T at Triad Lanes.
And here's Raigan with another courtside conversation.
Welcome back to the Morgan Show. Today we will be bringing you guys an all-new episode of Courtside Conversations, hosted by me, Reagan Lydon. For those that are new here and are just now joining us, Courtside Conversations is a segment that I host to give you guys a nice insight into who our athletes are and why they love doing what they do and playing for MSU Athletics. We will be branching out to tennis soon, track, and even softball. So hang tight and see those episodes shortly. Until then, here's a brand new episode of Courtside Conversations. What's up, Morgan? Bringing you another episode of Courtside Conversations today. I'm your host, Reagan Lydon, joined by Gabrielle Johnson, a freshman guard on the women's basketball team. Hey, Gabby, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I'd just like to ask you a couple questions on how the season's going for you so far and how you're adjusting. So I looked you up a little bit, right? I see you're a Baltimore native. So was choosing Morgan State an easy task for you, or did you want to venture out?
I did want to venture out before, but after a while, like, this is family. It felt like family when I came for my official visit. It wasn't just about the distance, because I don't feel like I'm home. You never got time to go home anyway because of the sport. So, yeah, this was my first choice. So
I love that for you. And how was your recruiting process with Morgan State? Was it very hard for you? Were there any hard decisions you had to make, any split decisions?
No, my recruiting process was kind of easy for the most part. I knew where I wanted to go at. I knew I wanted to go to HBCU. And I knew I wanted to go to Morgan because they was always family from the start. They offered me in 9th grade, and they ain't stopped contacting me since. So it was kind of easy.
So you've been getting offers from Morgan State since 9th grade?
Yeah.
Okay. So that seems nice, lovely. But I also heard that you played 3 sports in high school. So how was that for you? Because if committing to Morgan was an easy decision, did you have a hard decision choosing what sport you want to pursue for a career?
No, it wasn't hard. I always loved basketball over the long jump and softball. I always liked basketball, so it wasn't really hard choosing.
So riddle me this. You did track, long jump even, and you played softball. So what do you think you took away from those 2 sports that made you the athlete you are today with basketball?
Probably the long jump, like training my knees to jump. Well, softball was more like hand-eye coordination type. So, yeah.
So the hand-eye coordination softball probably helped you with your point average here, because the last game you had 11 points, and in your other game you spazzed out with about 13. So how's that been going for you too? Because you average about 17 minutes per game. So what do you try to utilize best or do the best in your games?
For me, I just started getting comfortable with the team now. That's why I'm going on my scoring and doing that. For me, being a 6th man off the bench is all about the energy I bring off the bench and letting my defense come to my offense. So, yeah, I've been just getting in the groove.
As an individual player, what do you think you can do in this very moment to get the team more recognition or advocate for women in sports?
What I can do, I can still speak on my platform. Me having Vitiligo gives me a lot of attention sometimes. So, like Baltimore Sun just came to interview me for the Morgan State. So I'm talking about Morgan State. I'm talking about all women in sports. So, yeah, use my platform.
Well, thank you again for joining us today, Gabby. For another episode of Courtside Conversation, I'm your host, Reagan Lydon.
Malik Miller started the season as one of Morgan State's leading scorers. He injured his knee on January 21st in a game against Howard. The team is now 2-4 in his absence. I sat down with Malik to talk about the team, where he is right now, and his future.
So I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today. And I just want to ask you first, like, what essentially was your injury?
So I originally just tore my ACL and then I tore my meniscus.
How are you doing mentally now that, you're not playing the rest of the season?
Mentally, I'm just getting better. You can't rush it. It's a day-by-day thing. So I just try to look at a small goal and just knock it out every day.
We've heard Brodus talk about how you and Burke are like the heart and soul of the team and things like that. So how do you still stay engaged with them while they're on the road and even here at home?
I just try to talk to the guys, whenever I can, because I'm going to tell them things that they probably don't feel comfortable talking to Brodus about. I just try to be a leader off the court, use my voice as much as I can, and just be there for them, support them.
And in the preseason, I talked about you, and we talked about how you were named to the All-MEAC second team, but the way that you were playing, you were going to be on the All-MEAC first team. So how does that make you feel now?
That's the worst part. This is the second year I didn't make All-MEACs because of injuries. Last year I would have made a team, but I missed games with my ankle. Definitely going for Player of the Year, definitely going for a Defensive Player of the Year. First team was in the books already. Wasn't worried about the first team, but I took the second team chip on my shoulder. I felt like that was disrespectful. And I came out this year and just played like that, and I proved it. So I just looked at that as another way to, prove everybody wrong.
And then your team has a huge conference road game against Norfolk, and that's the first team that they actually beat here at the Hill Fieldhouse without you. So what is the message to your team going into that game?
I just want them to, everybody just play hard. I don't want them to worry about the last game that they lost. It's over with, can't get it back. So I just want everybody to lock in, focus on what can we do to win this game.
Before his injury, Miller was the 3rd leading scorer in the MEAC. He averaged 18.6 points per game. Morgan coach Kevin Brodus considered Miller the heart and soul of the team. He was the team's leading rebounder at 10 per game and led the team in steals at 2.2 per game. Miller took pride in his defensive leadership. His ability to guard multiple positions at 6'4" is something he developed over the years. He had won 3 MEAC Defensive Player of the Week honors prior to his injury. Along with backcourt teammate Isaiah Burke, Miller was a scoring force. The duo averaged 37.5 points per game. They both scored game-high points against South Carolina State on January 9th. Miller won Player of the Week after scoring 28 points along with 9 rebounds and 6 steals against the University of Hartford on December 30th.
So what is next for you?
The surgery, which is tomorrow, I'm going to get the surgery. I'm going to take 2 days off to go through the pain. I start rehab, like official rehab, Monday. So from there, I'm going every day until I'm back on the court. So I'm excited for the process, you know. I'm eager to get back on the court. I'm eager to pick up a basketball again, so I just can't wait.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. Appreciate you. Morgan State University defeated the Delaware State Hornets 75-65 at the Invesco HBCU Legacy Classic, created and hosted by Michael B. Jordan. This was the second out of 3 meetings between the two teams. The Bears had a slow start to the game, but with the quick substitution from Coach Brodus, the pace of the game began to change in their favor. They eventually used their depleted bench to outscore the Hornets and forced 21 turnovers to hold on down the stretch. The Bears ended a 2-game losing streak and played with the collective cohesion coaches have called for. Graduate center Louis Joncom scored the first 6 points for the Bears off the bench. That led to a 10-0 run to tie the game midway through the first half. Joncom won the MVP of the game and finished with 18 points. He credited his coaches for preparing him when his number is called.
I mean, it's a blessing, honestly. I mean, not just my family in Cameroon, I have family all around the world who gets to see this. Like, this is right here is an opportunity where I can showcase this is what I work for. This is why I'm in the gym my entire day. This is why I do what I do, because I get to showcase that to everyone.
With only 9 players available, Brodus has had to find different lineups that would work for his team in this rematch against the Hornets. This was a good win for the Bears without Malik Miller, but they got junior guard Kevon Wiggins back from injury. Getting back into the win column after losing their last 2 games was huge. Morgan State's bench kept them in the game. They outscored the Hornets 51-36 in bench points. They received contributions from point guard Cameron Hobbs, who scored 24, 15 of those points coming in the first half. Next man up has been the motto for the Bears, with injuries shortening the bench throughout the season.
This is where we are. And as cliche as next man up, but it's real. Because truthfully, if some of those guys are here, he may not have been playing. Let's be real. And I said this to him yesterday. If Chad Vinning was still here, he wouldn't be here. But basketball takes a life of its own. We can't control it.
During the game, there were 10,000 people in attendance. This was an important moment for the HBCU community as a whole. The event gave them the attention they've needed and deserved for years. Coach Brodus, who attended Grambling State and Bowie State, said the invitation to the Legacy Classic meant a great deal to the HBCU community. He thanked the hosts for the national television exposure. Cameron Hobbs talked about how big this moment was for himself and his team.
It feels good just to get the platform and to showcase what Coach been drilling into us the whole season. So it just feels good to show the work.
The HBCU Legacy Classic was a great opportunity for the Bears, but they have to remain focused as they resume MEAC play on the road against North Carolina Central Saturday, February 11th. This is Sierra Burnett reporting for The Morgan Show. Before we end the show, here's Candace Vieser with our weekly Where Are They Now?
Today, I'm here with Dr. Reverend Ruth Travis, Morgan alum, class of 1968, and former Lady Bear, here with the Where Are They Now segment. Thank you so much, Dr. Travis, for being on this segment today. And we're just going to get a little bit into your time here as a Lady Bear, what that looked like, what that meant, and how did that shape your career today. So my first question for you would be, well, let's first talk about, can you say, when did you play? on the women's basketball team here?
I played sports at Morgan from 1964 until 1968. Never missed a season.
Okay, so my next thing for you would be, what drove you to coming here and playing basketball?
Well, I started playing sports when I was 14 years old. And when I went to high school, in the 10th grade, I was on all varsity teams. I played basketball, volleyball, and badminton. And basketball has always been my dominant sport. And so I wanted to major in physical education because the only Black African-American phys ed teacher in high school was Miss Ida Thomas. Her husband was a coach also at Morgan. And she encouraged me to go to college and to major in physical education. So I couldn't major in physical education and not play a sport. So when I came to Morgan, I came there fully prepared to participate in athletics. And hockey was a sport that was added to my list of sports. I had never played hockey before. I thought you only played hockey on ice. And we didn't have the best coach in the world, but we were able to win a few games, very, very few games that we win. But in basketball and volleyball and badminton, we were outstanding athletes at Morgan between 1964 and 1968.
And can you tell me a little bit about your team dynamic? What do you think? What do you think some things that made you guys a good team or have a strong team dynamic? What do you think were some of the things that added to that or contributed to having a strong dynamic?
Well, all of us came from high school, having had a good career in high school. And most of us came already with good skills, and that was good because we didn't have the best coach in the world. So we pretty much played the game based on how we knew how to play before we got on the team. But it was a camaraderie, and I remember there were girls here from New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, Virginia. They were mostly from the East Coast. And I have to say this, back in the 60s, women were never really appreciated in sports. Let's take basketball, for example. The male basketball team had more games, had better equipment, had better coaches. Some of the coaches in physical education did not think that women should be playing sports, and basketball in particular. Plus, the game had changed a lot from high school. In high school, you had 6 players on one side of the center line, and 6 on the other side. Up front were the forwards, and the back were the guards. And so you only had 3 dribbles to pass among the guards to get the ball across the center line. So when I come to college, it's another kind of game. It's still basketball, but it's played differently. Now you have what's called the roving guard and the roving forward. Is it making sense to you? Okay, so I was a roving guard because I was tall and I could shoot and make the basket. So when the game started, I was on the left side of the center line, and I was a guard. When the forwards over there shot the ball and the rebound came off, when a guard got it, between the 3 of us, we got to do 3 dribbles and keep moving toward the center line. No. Yeah, we do. We have to do 3 dribbles and move toward the center line. So when we passed the ball across the court, across the center line, I then became a forward. So I go from being a guard across the center line to being a forward. So when I graduated from Morgan and I started teaching, I had to learn that 5-player basketball all over, because now it's no more roving guard and roving forwards. It's now 5-player basketball, and you run the whole court. So I played AAU ball for about 4 or 5 years, so I could get the feel of 5-player basketball, and that's what helped me to become a successful coach. In when I was teaching in high school. And so the game has evolved a lot, but we didn't know we were so discriminated against until we became older and we had graduated. But they did not treat us well as female athletes on that campus.
Sorry, Ms. Travis.
It's okay.
I'm gonna take it out. Oh, now I gotta put the stuff back on.
And let me mention one more thing when we're talking about discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
Because the guys had a full schedule, we didn't. We participated in what they call play day down at the University of Maryland in College Park. It was volleyball and golf. My best friend, who was also on the basketball team, she didn't play volleyball, and she also played volleyball. She didn't play volleyball that day. She did the golf and won the whole tournament. They had never seen a Black woman play golf. Our volleyball team, and I played that day, we won all the games down at the University of Maryland in College Park, and they never invited us again. We won everything. We it was volleyball and golf, won it all, won the whole tournament, never got invited again. Now, when the men would go, let's say, out of town to play a game, and we were all local. We didn't play any out of town games. All of our games were in the local area. Okay. The men got on the bus and went to their games. We got in the school station wagon car. That's how we went to play hockey. That's how we went to play volleyball. We were squashed in that little station wagon. Was that discrimination or not?
Mm-hmm.
When we were so excited about playing, it never really dawned on us. I think we saw it, but we didn't respond to it. But our coach, we always thought she was a horrible coach. But what we learned later was she was fighting the administration for us to get more games, to get better coaching situation. I don't even know if she got paid. She may have been doing that as a volunteer. I don't know. But we learned so much more about her after she had passed away. But you talking about discrimination, and then that carries over. And I started teaching school and coaching in 1969. Here again, the male high school coaches got more money. Their teams had a longer schedule. But when I became the first African-American president of the Women's Coaches Association, I talked to the people with the teachers union, and we negotiated, went to the table and negotiated with the city system, and we won. And then women started getting the same pay that the men were getting, and girls started having the same schedule that the boys had. So that discrimination carried on from college all the way over into my teaching career.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm so proud of Dina Freeman Patton, who's the first female athletic director at Morgan State University. In 155 years, they finally got it right. And I came to Martin Luther King prayer breakfast a few weeks ago, and she was a keynote speaker. And she had me to stand up, and she mentioned to the audience that she learned how to be an athletic director from me. And so I realized that my friends, all of us played together. Many of us went on to teach physical education. All the ones that were on the team also taught physical education. They all retired now, but we all taught physical education. And we all coached basketball. So even though we didn't have the best coach, because we did have some skill, great skill, we were able to win a lot of games. A lot of games. And we got discriminated against in the referee calling many times. And so when I look at TV now and I see those women who are athletic directors, and I see those ladies in their suits walking the sideline, coaching those teams, I cheer for them. Because I realized I was a pioneer. And it's so much better now than it was years ago. But I guess the game was played the way it was at the beginning because they didn't think women had the strength to run the court. And now you got some women that can run the court better than the men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of them at this point. I used to be. But I love watching women in athletics now, and I like seeing women excel and go higher and get in leadership positions because they're qualified.
Mm-hmm. My next thing for you, Ms. Chavez, would be can you recall any big championships that you won or any memorable games or going to the MEAC, anything of that nature at your time while playing?
Canvas. We didn't have MEAC. Now, the guys, if I remember correctly, the male team did. Yeah, because they went out of town to play a lot. Yeah, they did. We didn't. We didn't. We would go to watch them play. They just put in Morgan they just put women in the Hall of Fame at Morgan. I'm guessing now, but maybe about 15 years ago. I'm not in there. They put Ann Colbert in there. She was an outstanding tennis player. She's in there, and it may be one or two other women, but my group, none of us are in the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you, Ms. Jarvis, for coming on the Zoom. Thank you for being a part of Where Are They Now segment. Thank you for sharing your story, sharing on behalf of all the Lady Bears and female athletes during the class of 1968 and everything that you guys had to go through just to play and just to, just be a part of Morgan sports teams when there were a lot of men doing other things. So I just thank you for coming on and thank you for giving me your time and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and thanks for having me. And I wish you well in your career.
Thank you, Ms. Travers.
Stay well now.
And that's all we have for you guys today on today's episode of The Morgan Show. We had a lot of exciting news to talk about today on the sports side.
Yep. Thanks you guys for joining us again. I'm Reagan Lydon.
I'm Sierra Burnett.